Well, hey there, and welcome back to Thomas Frank Explains. So this week, Notion started rolling out a brand new feature called Home, which, as you can see, is probably the biggest visual departure from anything else we've seen in Notion ever. As a reminder, if you are new to this channel and you've never seen my content before or Notion before, this is what a Notion page typically looks like. We've got a title, we've got an icon, and then we have a big old canvas where we can create columns and we can create blocks and we can create our own custom layouts. It's like Legos for productivity software. But Home is a bit more opinionated. We have these widgets and we can't really move them around. Now, as I'll show you later on, we can hide them, we can customize this to a degree, but this is a sort of set in stone jumping off point that can let you easily get into other pages in your Notion workspace. You can see events from your calendar. You can see tasks from what are called task databases. That's a very, very interesting feature. You can pin views of other databases, see pages that are suggested to you, see trending pages, all sorts of stuff. So in this quick video, I'm gonna show you everything there is to know about Home and what you can do with it. And I will point out right away, this My Tasks area right here is easily the most interesting part of the Home feature. We're probably gonna spend the most amount of time in this video talking about this because it brings a brand new capability into Notion that is available nowhere else. It's super interesting. It's something that I have been wanting to see for a very long time. So like I said, we're gonna cover that very soon. But going from the top, first, we have this very simple recently visited section. This just lets you easily jump into pages that you've been working on in the past. And this is very similar to the jump back in section in the search area of Notion's mobile app. In fact, it's pretty much identical. One thing that I will point out is that Home currently is not on mobile apps. Right now, it's only in the desktop app and in web browsers. Maybe we'll see Home in the mobile apps in the future, but as we can see, there are features that are sort of crossing the gap between mobile and desktop. We also have this brand new upcoming events widget, and this actually connects to Notion Calendar. So anything you have in Notion Calendar, you can actually show here. And one thing I love about Notion Calendar is you can actually bring in multiple Google Calendar accounts. So if you have one for, say, your work and another one for personal events, you'll be able to see all those events in one place. And now you can see them directly in Notion as well. And if you go to this little three-dot menu in the upcoming events widget, we can actually customize our view here. So at the top, we have this calendars menu. And if we go in here, our first option, which is on by default, is mirror calendar app, which is essentially going to force this section to show or hide the events that are shown or hidden in Notion Calendar itself. If you turn that off, you can customize this to your heart's content. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep this mirrored. I think that works pretty well. And then back here, we have a few other options as well. So we can include events from up to 3 days in the future, or we can go out to a week. We can restrict it to today and tomorrow, or we can do just today like that. We can also hide all day events just in case we only want to see events with a scheduled start and stop time. And then these two final options here, events without participants and events without conferencing and location information. If you turn these off, then this section essentially just becomes a list of your upcoming meetings, things that you actually have to show up and join with other people. So I could see this being very useful for people who work in bigger companies who have a lot of meetings. If you just want to see those meetings you have to show up to, these toggles are for you. I want to see everything though, so I'm going to go ahead and turn those back on, and I'm going to set this back to 3 days so I get my default layout. Now I can see all my calendar events. And of course, if I didn't want to see this section at all, I could hide it from Home right there. Or if I wanted to, I can come up to this little three-dot menu in the top right corner, go to Show Hide Widgets, and then I could just turn it off like that. But I do want to see my calendar events, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on. Okay, let's get to the section of Home that is by far the most interesting, the My Tasks section. Like I said before, this is a super interesting section because it can do something that has never been able to be done in Notion before. And that is, this section can actually show rows from multiple databases in a single view. This is something we can't do anywhere else in Notion. It's something I've wanted for a very long time, and now we finally have our first taste of it. So the My Tasks section is able to show tasks or rows from what are called task databases. And a task database is kind of a special database that has to have at least 3 specific property types. If I open up one of these tasks, I can show those to you. A task database has to have an assignee property, which is of the type person. It has to have a status property, which is of the type status, and it has to have a due date property, which is of course of the type date. Now, originally the task database was a special database that came with Notion's task and projects template, which you can easily apply within Notion. However, you can also set any other database as a task database as long as it has these 3 properties. And if it doesn't, it's going to prompt you to create them or choose them from existing properties. So right now I've got tasks showing from this team tasks database. And if I click into this database, we'll be able to actually go to the view options menu, and we can see that this is a task database. Now I can undo this if I want to, but because I want to see tasks from this database in my home section, I'm going to leave it as a task database. Now this is a team task database, so my entire team has access to this. If in my home section I also want to see tasks from my personal private task database, I could turn that into a task database as well, and I'm going to see rows from both of them in this view. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly by finding my task manager in my copy of Ultimate Brain, and I'm just going to go ahead and open up any old task, open that as a full page, and use the breadcrumbs to access the source database. So this is the database itself. This is where I can actually make changes to the structure of the database and to turn it into a task database. Number one, if my database were locked like this, I would go ahead and unlock it like that. And then I'll go to my little 3-dot menu for view options, and I'll click turn into task database. Now to turn this into a task database, I have to have a property that represents the status. So I'm going to find my status property. I need a property that represents the assignee, which is auto-filled here. And then I need a property that represents the due date. So I'm gonna go ahead and find my due property right there, turn this bad boy into a task database just like that. And now I'll relock this for safekeeping and go back to home. So if I look at my tasks area now, I'm not seeing any of the tasks from this brand new task database. And that is because this, just like any other database view, is able to be filtered and sorted. In fact, if I open this as a full page, it looks kind of like a regular Notion database view. The main difference here is that there are some restrictions which sort of play into the fact that I can bring in multiple databases worth of pages into this single view, which I'll get to in just a second. First, I'm going to go ahead and modify my filters so I can see my tasks from the other database. So we'll go to this little filter icon here, and we can see that my filters are where the status is either to do or in progress, makes sense, or where the assignee is me. Now, in a team tasks database, that kind of makes sense because people are going to be assigned to tasks. But in my private task database, I typically don't take the time to assign tasks to myself. Everything there is for me. So I'm going to go ahead and modify this filter right here. First, clicking this 3-dot menu to turn it into an advanced filter. And then we're going to have where assignee contains me. And then I'm going to add a second rule and call it or, where the source is my other source here, all tasks T, which is a private database. So now I'll be able to see all the tasks from my private database and any task where I'm the assignee from the team tasks database. And just like that, we have our first taste of a view in Notion that can show rows from multiple databases. Super cool. Now there is a key limitation here. Because we're bringing in rows from multiple databases, there are only certain properties that we can show. If you saw earlier, this all tasks database in my copy of Ultimate Brain has a lot of different properties. We have a smart list property for GTD workflows, we have context, we have priorities, but in home, we're not gonna be able to see any of those properties. And the reason for that is because we're bringing in rows from multiple databases, there has to be a strict set of required properties across all those databases, and then we won't be able to show unique properties from individual databases that might not exist on the other ones that are present. And you can see this limitation in action by going to the view options for this My Tasks section and then going to properties. There are 4 that are shown by default, and then there are a few more that we can show, but these are all properties that are pretty much guaranteed to exist on all databases that you could be showing here. And all those unique properties like my context property, my priority property, none of them are shown here. Maybe we'll get to do that in the future, but for now, that is one big limitation, sort of trade-off, if you will, for being able to bring in multiple databases worth of content into a single section. So that is the My Tasks section. I will also note that when you create a brand new task from here, it's going to have a default destination, but you can always move it to other task databases if you want to. So if I wanted this task to be in my team tasks database, maybe it is shoot this video, then there it is in my team tasks database and is automatically assigned to me because of the filters set up in this view. Okay, we also have another pretty new widget that will actually allow you to embed views of other databases directly in home. This is super new. Before this, all we had was My Tasks and then these little suggested widgets. But now, if you want, you can bring in a view of any other database in your workspace here in home. And just like before, you can add your own filters, you can add your own sorts, and you can open it as a full page if you want to. So here, you can can see that I have a view of my all notes database, but I can actually bring in multiple views from multiple databases if I want. So if I go to this little drop-down menu right here, I can add a view. And the first thing it's going to ask me is, what database do I want to link here? I don't have to choose all notes. I can actually choose anything else I want. So I'm going to go ahead and find my movies database. I'll grab this one, which is the only one that isn't for tutorials, and then I can go ahead and create a brand new table view. Of course, I have access to all my other layout options here, so I think I'm going to go with list. That's my favorite view for databases typically, and then I have a lot of options too. I can show or hide the page icon. I'm going to go ahead and hide it. I'm going to name this movies, and I'm also going to select an icon that's a bit more fitting for this database. So let's see what our choices are here. We have a theater mask, we have a ticket event, ticket reward. I think a ticket works pretty well. We'll hit done, and then in my properties, maybe I also want to show the genre of the movie as well. So now I've got this nice little customized view of my movies database directly in home, and if I want to, I can also switch over to my notes database. And if I wanted to add more, I could do that as well. So continuing onward, we have a couple of what I'll call smaller sections. I'll cover these really fast. We have suggested for you, and we have trending. These are basically sections where Notion just tries to predict pages that you might want to see. So here, this is pretty personalized to you based on your history in your Notion workspace. And then the trending section shows really popular pages in your workspace. And what's pretty cool is you can actually filter this by team space if you want to. So if you want to see trending across your entire workspace, you can do that. But if you want to filter it down to, say, just the template demos workspace, you can do that as well. And then finally, we have this learn section where there's some documentation for Notion features down here. And what I would recommend doing if you already know Notion or you watch Thomas Frank Explains on the regular is maybe just hiding that section. This is the first step you can take to customizing your home section. And if you want to do it a bit more, you can also go to this three-dot menu and go to show hide widgets. And you can hide almost everything, but you can't hide recently visited and you can't hide these suggested and trending sections. I'm going to keep upcoming events on, I'm going to keep my tasks on, I'm going to keep my databases on. And one other thing that I might want to keep on is the greeting, because you can change your nickname here. It pulls my name from my user profile, but if I want my name to be Optimus Prime, then by golly, it's going to be Optimus Prime. Finally, in this three-dot menu, we can also change our default start page. So I think by default, our top page in the sidebar is what's going to show when we open Notion, but we can also show the last visited page. We can show Notion AI, or we can show home, which if you want to use this as a sort of jumping off point for getting into your other Notion pages, might be a good choice. Hopefully you found this quick video useful. If you're new to Notion or you want to increase your mastery of this tool, you should also check out my Notion Fundamentals series. I will link in the description down below. We also have a whole web page for it at thomasjfrank.com/fundamentals, where you can, number one, join my Notion Tips newsletter, where I'll send you all my free templates and lots of goodies, references, cheat sheets, all kinds of stuff. And number two, you can go through our lessons. We have video lessons and written references for almost everything you would want to know about Notion, ranging from how to create pages and link them together, to how to create databases and customize them, to even how to set up Notion for team use. We have a brand new settings and sharing article that I published. I'm working on the video for it that'll be out quite soon, but the article is absolutely massive. So if you want to learn how to set up Notion for your team, that is a great destination for you. Once again, thomasjfrank.com/fundamentals. If you want to see what else Notion has been cooking up, I've got another video right there on some new Notion features. And if you want to go beyond what Notion can do natively, I've got a video right here on how you can add automated recurring task support to Notion. Check it out.